Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You heard earlier stated that this administration tends to play favorites, and they will go to save some hostages before others, including celebrities. And I think the basketball player Brittany Griner was mentioned. I'd just like, for the record, for you to tell us whether that is indeed a policy or a practice.
Ms. Congresswoman, thank you for that question. Under the Biden administration, we've brought back 47 Americans, and if you were to take a look at who's come back, you'd find an entire tapestry of what makes this country great. And that is, you will find people that are poor, rich, well-connected, not well-connected, people that are famous, not famous, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Muslim, Christian, agnostic, atheist. It's this entire array of everyone who makes up our country. And so even though I can understand the perspective of someone who's outside looking in, to my mind, we work just as hard to take care of someone who lives maybe in almost in an economically poor situation in maybe the rural South, just as we would for someone who might come from wealth and who might be connected in the Northeast. We don't care. If that case is wrongfully detained, we are going to pursue it like bulldogs, and we do not prioritize based on wealth or connections or anything else. So we're going to work just as hard for someone who has no connection, no wealth, and no way to think to get it done as we will for someone who might be on the opposite end of the spectrum. This is an American problem, and if you have a passport and are taken hostage or wrongfully detained, you're all my number one priority, and we're going to somehow find a way to get the job done.
Thank you. I appreciate and respect that. You know, as we address the big questions of how to define different categories of people who are detained and how to perhaps disincentivize it and how to serve the people while they're detained, there's some little things that we shouldn't forget. And I don't want to trivialize that, but I just want to bring up something small that could make a difference. You know, when a person comes home, we don't want them to be subjected to a lot of bureaucratic red tape. And one of the things that exists that is astounding to me, because there are waivers for people who are victims of terrorist attacks or natural disasters. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I can't talk. But when a person comes back from being illegally detained, they have to pay late fees on their income taxes. And
I hope you don't mind if I jump in on that one too.
So go right ahead. You know where I'm going with this.
Oh, I do. I mean, I remember driving home one night at like 9 or 10 at night. Yes, I work late. And I was talking to Jason Rezaian, and we talked about this specifically. This had to be 3 years ago. And Jason was highlighting the fact that the IRS wanted him to pay his taxes, and then there were late fees associated with that. And so we jumped right in on that. And within a short time, we have an official liaison from the IRS that my office speaks to quite often, and we're trying to work through those issues. I know Capitol Hill, Congress, you've been working with Jason to create something which takes away those fees that are associated with that. But this is something that's important to us, that when you come back, we're going to help you clean up the admin mess, and we've been working within the entire interagency to address that. But additionally, we're trying to also get ahead of that. We're very grateful for what you've done to give us a push in that direction. So grateful you brought that up. But these are the things that plague us too. One thing that we do is that if someone is declared wrongfully detained, or if they're declared a hostage, at least on the wrongful detention side, we will provide a letter that they can take to their creditors, they can take it to the bank, and explain that this might not be the person whose credit card you keep charging interest, or someone whose mortgage you closed down, because this has been officially designated as wrongfully detained by the U.S. government. So we're trying to work through all these things. I think we have a lot more work to go, and I personally look forward to working with you and your teams to find better ways to solve these problems.
Well, thank you. I know that you can apply for a waiver, and maybe the IRS will grant it or not, but I think we ought to just put that in statute. And I have a bill to do that. And you see that this is a cross-government approach. You see 3 agencies sitting before us, and I'm glad you have a liaison with the IRS. But I think if we formalize that, we can have it as a policy, and that'll just take one less little thing off the plate that people have to worry about when they come home. Thank you. Thank you for your help on that. I yield back.
Thank you, Ms. Titus.